Do you remember the Christmas blizzard of '58? I mean, really remember it? Not just the stories, but the feeling of the world shutting down. The grocery stores were closed. The roads were completely buried under a thick blanket of snow. And every family was stuck at home with whatever food they happened to have. Think about that for a second. No takeout, no delivery apps, no running out for that one thing you forgot. It was just you, your family, and whatever was sitting in your pantry, your freezer, or your root cellar. And you know what's funny? Looking back, those simple, improvised meals we made during that storm, they became some of the warmest, most cherished Christmas memories we ever had. Back then, families had real pantries. Not just a couple of shelves, but a whole closet or a small room filled with potential. The shelves were lined with canned vegetables, jars of bright red preserves, and whatever had been put up over the long, hot summer. But during that blizzard, I remember my mom opening the pantry door, and it was like she was opening a treasure chest. Inside, you'd find cans of Campbell's soup, golden jars of peaches, maybe a can of Spam, boxes of saltine crackers, and always a sack of potatoes and a bag of onions. These were the basics, the everyday things. But when the snow trapped the world outside, they felt like pure luxury. And with those humble ingredients, our mothers created meals that didn't just fill our stomachs, they filled the whole house with a sense of comfort and safety. They were resourceful magicians, turning simple cans and jars into something that felt like a feast, with the house feeling perpetually cold and the stove or the heater working overtime just to keep the chill at bay. Most families relied on one-pot meals. It was practical, it was efficient, and it warmed you from the inside out. We'd have hearty stews made from any leftover meat we could find, simmered for hours until it was falling apart tender, or creamy potato soup, so simple but so satisfying, thick enough to stand a spoon in. I remember my dad opening a can of chili and stretching it with extra beans and tomatoes to make sure there was enough to feed everyone in the house. And the smell of biscuits baking right on a cast iron pan, filling the kitchen with that buttery, warm aroma. Nothing was fancy. Nothing was complicated. It was just good, honest food. It's holding a warm bowl in your hands. You felt safe. It was the taste of security in the middle of a powerful storm. Of course, a big problem was bread. When you're stuck at home for days, the bread runs out fast. That didn't stop anyone. Families just got creative. We made fluffy biscuits from scratch, or dense, crumbly cornbread baked in a skillet. Some folks would even make a simple dough and fry it on the pan, creating these wonderful, puffy pieces of fried bread. Kids' meals became a funny mix of whatever was on hand. I remember eating peanut butter on saltine crackers and thinking it was the best snack ever. There were nights we had buttered toast for dinner, and we were happy to have it. Or a drizzle of maple syrup on a thick slice of homemade bread. And one of my favorite memories is eating a big plate of fried potatoes with onions, crispy and salty. It certainly wasn't gourmet dining, but it kept everyone full, warm, and somehow always smiling. Now, not every home was lucky enough to keep its electricity, okay? And when the power went out, cooking became a whole different kind of adventure. It felt almost like stepping back in time. Families had to pull out their old kerosene stoves or fire up the wood-burning ovens if they had one. Some just cooked right on an open stovetop, carefully managing the flames. I even heard stories of people heating bricks on the fire, wrapping them in foil and towels, and using them to keep food warm, okay? As kids, we'd gather close to the stove, watching the shadows from the flames flicker and dance on the walls, okay? The storm would be howling outside, the wind rattling the windows, but inside the kitchen, the world felt so calm, almost magical. It was quiet, intimate, and the simple act of cooking a meal became this beautiful, shared experience. And what about Christmas dinner? It wasn't canceled. It just looked a little different in 1958. Instead of a grand feast, families cooked whatever they had left. Maybe it was a small ham instead of a big, glorious turkey. Mashed potatoes were served, but maybe there was no gravy because you'd run out of the ingredients. We had canned green beans instead of fresh ones, and the pies were made with canned fruit filling instead of freshly picked apples. It wasn't about abundance, it was about sharing. Families gathered around the table and shared everything they had, even if it wasn't much. But back in the blizzard of '58, families didn't have any of those conveniences. We might have forgotten the exact recipes for those simple stews or skillet biscuits, but we'll never, ever forget how those meals felt. They were more than just food. They were a symbol of resilience and family. It just goes to show you, sometimes the best Christmas dinners aren't the ones we plan for weeks, but the ones we have to create together, right in the middle of a storm. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories.